Hey guys, so as most of you might already be aware of that currently there is a character rework in the China version, but it is not available on all stages. It's currently on the rate if I'm not mistaken, but they are currently taking some feedback and reviews, and I hope that if is the response is good, they will actually start implementing this permanently for all the units to work on all the contents. Yeah, so in this video I would like to go through the rework and what is my opinion regarding them. Let's start with, by the way, this is Creedon website, and they have the whole list, which is what we will go through now. And yeah, let's start off with Lilia. So Lilia, she gets excess crit rate is converted to crit damage. I think this is really good. I've been using her a lot in Utu, and I always felt that as long as she has this, like if you use a fame card or something that you can convert her excess crit rate to crit damage, she would deal a ton of damage. That's because if you use a side cube that has crit rate, then she adds 100% to that. So definitely she will have excess crit rate, and then you convert it to crit damage. The enemy, especially the bosses, they do have crit resist. So if there is crit resist, you might feel that sometimes that she cannot crit, but it is like 90% she will crit. And if you have Tooth Fairy or now you have Vila, she will definitely crit. Yeah, so now aerial maneuver as well will also trigger up a follow-up attack, and that is insane. Like if this is the condition, I probably will not. She can basically compete with Jew as well, especially if you are relying on Jew to proc 37's follow-up attack and the Eureka. So if you have like R15 P, very high portrait 37, yeah, Lilia will be perfect for her, and both of them is star DPS, so they work really well against mineral. And on top of that, she also gained a layer of focused follow-up. And what does that do is that when you use your ultimate, which is a small trick, all layers of focused follow-up are consumed, increasing the relative damage of the attack by 75% for every removed layer. So it wasn't mentioned here that how many layers she can stack, but every time she crits, the follow-up crits, and let's say you will have to generate 5 moxies, so she'll be using 5 incantation, right? So every incantation does follow up now, and everything crits. So 75 times 5, that is a lot, right? It's over 300% away. Yeah, it's 375%. So she's doing over 1000% on her ultimate. That is like what 6 would do, and I have been mentioning that 6 is very strong unit due to his ultimate, but Lilia now has that. Okay, I felt like this buff is a little too strong if we compare it with the recent units that we get. So it's a little bit too strong. Maybe they tune it up to get some feedback and they will tune it back down. Maybe, I do not know. But personally, if I have to choose some upgrades and forego some of them, I would actually say that excess crit rate has to be there, and either one of this. But I would prefer aerial maneuver having the follow-up attack. There is no need of the focus follow-up attack. So at least she can procs 37 better, and by doing so many attacks, there's usually some stages that you need to do that. Like every time you do it, you get additional buff. So I find it a little bit more tactical and better if she has that additional follow-up attack in all of her attack. Yeah, maybe we don't need the focus follow-up attack, but even her ultimate can do follow-up attack. So just make that every attack she can do follow-up attack. I think that is fine, and she would fit into the current meta as well. Alright, Centurion. Okay, I do not have her in my roster, so I have not actually used her. But let's see. Okay, after using a basic incantation, Moxie -1 on herself. This is on herself. The attack then deals an additional 80%. So she is sacrificing her Moxie to deal more damage. So is that a good thing? Okay, let us read on. If this is a one target attack, the critical damage of this attack will also be increased by 25%. Okay, just increasing her damage. After casting Reality Show Premier, which is her ultimate, or critically striking, Centurion gain +1 Moxie. So now, this second statement here, or critically striking. After casting, so after she uses her ultimate, she get 1 Moxie. So which means she will always start with 1 Moxie after she uses her ultimate. Or critical strike. I don't think it's her ultimate that needs to critical strike, but any of her attack critical strike, she will gain 1 Moxie. So if you give her enough crit rate, and then she does 5 attacks, that would be, means every of her incantation is 2 Moxie, right? 1 because you use it, and then 1 because she crits. But now she -1 Moxie. So officially it's still 1 Moxie, but means that whatever she does now, her basic attack increased by 80% relative damage, and that is pretty huge. Okay, because let's say her single target, I'm not sure, it's usually 150 to 200 for most unit. So now you add 80% to that, which means it's effectively a 30% increase in her damage output, which is pretty good. Okay, and whenever you lose Moxie, all allies gain a layer of focus fortitude, and each layer increases crit rate and damage by 2%. So with 15 stacks is 30%. So with this, like 30%, 30%, is already better than Villa in a certain way. Plus she can do damage, she just don't have healing. So I felt that this is also a little bit broken in a sense. So if I were to forgo the same thing, maybe the focus fortitude, like make Centurion really a DPS unit to build around it. There's no need to give her utility to provide to the party. Obviously, if they are going to maintain everything, I'll be more than happy to have it. But let's say if I have to forgo something, right? So it's the last one that I think we can dump, and the first two should maintain, right? The -1 Moxie is really good as well. And the thing is that if she doesn't crit, your Moxie will reduce. And it's not exactly a bad thing, because the more Moxie that she has, she also deals more damage. So you got to really focus on using her incantation. Okay? Right, so move on to the next unit, Regulus. Okay, and okay, short, right? Regulus, Restless Heart. It provides 1 additional AP. That is great, which means that if, okay, Restless Heart, you get it when you don't attack. So which means this turn, Regulus don't attack, then you can Restless Heart. And when you attack with any incantation, then Regulus will gain 1 Moxie. That was the original function of Restless Heart. And now that if she have Restless Heart, you get additional 1 AP. Yeah, so which means one turn you don't do anything with Regulus, the next turn you have 5 AP. Okay? And then after casting her ultimate Sleepless Rave, she grants 1 Moxie to adjacent allies. Yeah, so okay, some of you might consider Regulus as a DPS unit, but I never actually consider her as a main DPS, more of a sub DPS because of her playstyle. You got to, if you want to really optimize her entire kit, you really got to not do anything in between turns so that she get Restless Heart, and then she can get to her ultimate a bit faster, right? And at the same time when she's not doing anything, which means there's opportunity for your main DPS to be using more incantation so that they can build up the Moxie faster and get to their ultimate. So Regulus is coming in as several rounds, she get her ulti up, and then you blast her ulti, everyone goes into the dodge phase, like, yeah, it provides dodge to everyone, like become invisible. Um, yeah, so she always fit more of a role of a utility sub DPS in my opinion. And now they basically enhance that, right? So now additional AP, doesn't matter who uses the AP, so that's really good. And then you have this Sleepless Rave that grants your party Moxie, so they can get, your main DPS will get even more Moxie, so they can do more ultimate and deal more damage. So I really like this, and it doesn't seem overly broken. It just enhanced her utility side and make her more usable, so I think they should definitely maintain both of this upgrade for Regulus. Alright, so moving into Juvis the third. Oh, it's very short as well. So Circle of Life, damage shield, 10%, leech rate, 10%, damage dealt, 20%, damage dealt plus 1% per 100 of Druvid's attack. And finally, 50% penetration rate against target affected by Petrify. Okay. So attack usually, you know, if we max out everything, let's say R10 or R15, we would get about 1,600 to 1,800 attack. So if for every 100, which means we will get like 16 to 20%. Okay, 16 to 20% plus 20%. So she will grant the party like in the range of 36 to 40%. Which itself doesn't seem that big of a thing. But the 50% penetration rate against target affected by Petrify, I think that's really good. The thing with Druvis is that she's more of a utility unit and a disabler. And her disabler is actually pretty crazy. The Petrify, right? It just stops the enemy. But you need to use a full mentor team. So in that case, her team comm is kind of restrictive. The reason why she needs Mantle, because the Mantle doesn't cancel the Petrify. If the enemy is petrified, you use a reality attack, then the petrified will be dispelled. And the enemy will no longer be in the petrification form. So at this point, she's kind of restrictive, but she's still a very good unit if it comes to disabling. But now giving this 50% penetration rate against affected petrify is really good. I think it's a bit broken because if every mental attacker, like you have Windsong, to be dumping the attack on that unit that is petrified and everything is 50% penetration rate, that is insane, right? Your entire party will do so much damage. So if they really have to tone it down, I would say decrease the penetration rate by a little bit, but do maintain this effect, maybe 30% penetration rate, or yeah, right? If they really have to tone it down, okay? So that's for Druvis the third. For Eternity, at the start of battle, gain Blood Immortality, and Blood Immortality is upgraded to have HP, max HP plus 20%, damage dealt plus 25%, damage shield by 25%, and after attacking, she loses 10% of current HP and deal additional Genesis damage of 50% of HP loss. And it can crit. Alright, so okay, just by reading this, I don't feel that it is a very huge upgrade. But first of all, Blood of Immortality, usually she need 5 turns in order to get that, because she has this. But I do think that Blue Pog noticed now there are some fights that, and Utu, they also designed Utu that you need to clear every fight in 1 to 2 turns. So that's basically Blood of Immortality will not activate at all for Eternity, right? So now that they make it that it is at the start of battle, then it is great, right? And now she having more HP and she loses HP, which is the same thing. That's what she's doing right now, but she deal additional Genesis damage. Yeah, so it's the lower her HP is, the more Genesis damage she will deal. Assuming, okay, I can't remember how much HP a unit usually have, maybe 4,000 or 5,000. So let's say if you take 10% of that away, it's just 500, and then 50% of that, so it's 250 Genesis damage, which is actually not really huge. But if her HP is way lower, like let's say she got hit by a big ultimate, the next turn you don't instantly heal, you use her incantation first, before you heal up in order to keep your party safe. Then let's say she's down by 3,000. So 3,000, 50% of that is 1,500. And then if you crit, so I still don't think that it is such a big upgrade, but I really do need to see how much Genesis damage that actually translate into in order to consider whether Eternity is really that strong. But overall, I believe her team setup now is with Semmelweis, so we really got to judge Eternity in that setup and how she's losing HP, helping Semmelweis, making her hit harder, and at the same time Eternity is hitting harder as well. So overall they are doing decent damage, right? So I wouldn't know this until I get Semmelweis and we tested things out. Okay, for Sotheby, okay, not a long text as well. After using ultimate +1 Moxie at the beginning of each round, gain 2 layer of focus poison and only for herself, and it applies more poison, additional 1 poison stack when attacking. So I think they didn't really upgrade her because now she's pretty insane with Tuesday. So seeing that she plays very well together with Tuesday skip and it's already pretty broken in that sense, so they just gave her additional of poison stacks when she attacks, and I think that is pretty good, right? Because overall her incantation doesn't deal much attack, so now this additional 30% Genesis damage due to the additional poison stacks. So yeah, pretty good. Ultimate +1 Moxie also very good if you're considering with Tuesday, because the damage from Tuesday and Sotheby's team mostly come when they use their ultimate, as they they trigger all the poison stacks and deal damage one shot to the enemy, which can equate to 20, 30 or 40,000 Genesis damage, which is big. Alright. Voyager, okay, not a lot as well. Starlight Sonata, inflict an additional stack of confusion to all target, and Galaxy of String, which is their ultimate. For every stack of confusion on the target, the crit rate and crit damage of this attack are increased by 25%. Access crit rate is converted into crit damage. Okay, she's a support, technically, or utility support. So now with additional, she inflicts 2 stacks of confusion. And when you use her ultimate, crit rate, crit damage. Okay, so 2 stacks of confusion. Does that translate to 50% crit rate and crit damage? And whatever that she have, if you increase it more, then she can deal even more damage. Alright, okay. The thing is that she is good, her utility to disable, but we can't really use that in in raids, for example. And then in certain fights, Limbo, Uzu, you have enemy that's immune to all these things. Yeah, so they kind of have to do something with that. Maybe she can have like immunity penetration rate, like 30% or something. So if an enemy is immune, but she can penetrate through it, but not 100%, so she still have a chance to deal all this disabling debuff to the enemy. Then I would consider her to be better. But now with this upgrade, I think it's not really working it for me. Yeah, so not a good one for Voyager. New Babel, she entered with Fang partner, very good. Okay, when allies are attacked, she get focus unity. With focus unity, she get more defense, and when she uses her shield, she consume all focus unity and grant 3% damage dealt to the allies per stack of focus unity, and that lasts for 2 rounds. So now she becomes like a buffer as well for the team. New Babel, a lot of people doesn't really like her, but I think her kit's actually pretty decent. You just need the enemy to be attacking often, and now she start off with this Fang partner, so right off she can already do her riposte, or basically her counter attack. But honestly, I felt like she should get something like a +1 Moxie when she's doing something, so that she can get to her ultimate faster, so that Fang partner is up like 90% of the time. The problem with her is to reach her ultimate. Like, you have to waste attack, and she's not doing that much attack anyway. Yeah, but now at least it makes it like there's more reason to use her shield, a new wave. So it is a bit better, but I would hope that they could change one of them to instead like something like Sotheby, right? After you use her ultimate, you get 1 additional Moxie, or every 5 times that she do her counter, she get 1 Moxie as well. I would prefer those kind of upgrades than just make her a buffer. Okay, so again, I do not think a very good one for new Bebbles. Kalabauna, Ultimate Perfection, now benefit from Incantation Might. Okay, so now her ultimate is an incantation as well as the ultimate, so she can stack on Incantation Might, which is really interesting. I think that can increase her ultimate damage pretty much by not increasing the percentage of mental damage that she do, but just by allowing it to be enhanced by a different buff. Okay, and the thing is, she gave a lot of incantation might to herself due to her kit. Okay, so upon entering combat, gain the maximum amount of full moon possible and 1 full moon every round. Okay, I think it's okay, but the thing is that how will this affect the current stacks? Because let's say you are building up the Mars stack or the Saturn stack, and then this full moon just come in and interrupts your stacks. Like, you have 1 Mars and you have let's say you have 1 Saturn, 1 Mars, 2 Saturn, and you wanted to use ulti the next round, but now it's the next round. Right now it's the next round, and she suddenly gained a full moon, and that overrides your Saturn, so now you don't have Saturn, and then now you have to waste 1 incantation to get Saturn back, so that you get 3 stack of Saturn, so you can do yeah, a big follow-up attack. But now with this full moon, I feel like it is actually interrupting your setup, so I'm not sure if it's the best. I do personally do not have Kalabauna to be commenting so much on actually how to use her effectively. But yeah, those who have it and have access, someone should be trying this out and to actually comment rather if getting full moon every round would actually affect. Unless full moon is a separate stack over, like it doesn't interrupt it, then yes, it's perfect, because full moon does grant incantation might. Okay, 6. Alright, collection of debuff, crit damage 50%. Wow, so that's the crit defense down 50%. It's like crit damage up 50%. That is crazy. Then we have relative defense down and mental defense down. So her collection of debuff is just 4 now instead of 6. What is the other? Alright, there is some that deals Genesis damage, and it seems to be gone. Or I think that's fracture. So I'm not sure what is gone. I need to check it out. Maybe we should. Later. I will check it out later. But this is huge. This is usually the buff that I want from him, right? And yeah, so if you use one of her on his incantation, you already inflict 2 of this debuff random, and if you use your ulti, you will inflict another 2. So there's already 4. You can ensure that all 4 is there. And now it says that at Insight Tree, it inflicts a random set of 3 debuff from collection of debuff instead of 2 when you use the Relevation, which is his ultimate. So easily you can get 3 of this up, right? So he will be hitting harder, your entire party will be hitting harder. So this is a really good upgrade. Duty now applies a random of 3 buff from collection of buff instead of 2. And that is even better, because now if you have, first of all, he's already granting you a free buff, so every 2 turns you will get like 2 buffs, because each buff is for 2 rounds. So if you use another one of, you use duty, now you get 3, so you get 5 out of 6. So it's easily for you to, yeah, so the RNG reduced, so basically that's what what they do for him. So I think this is a very welcome upgrade, and it seems that they did not upgrade his damage further. I think that is totally fair. He is busted. He deals the hardest ultimate. I just cannot like, yeah, in most of my content right now in the last few weeks, or like, I mean the past weeks, I have been advocating on how good Styx is, because he's really that good. He should be really S plus tier in my opinion. But yeah, people just look at it in this perspective, like the buff that he do, debuff that he does, and decided that he is actually not that good. But yeah, I don't agree with that. But now with this upgrade in buff, they definitely have to put him up back into the F plus tier. Okay, so moving on with Getian, Shape of Bone can now stack up to 3 stacks, and while a prophecy foretold is active at the start of the round, all enemy gain a stack of Shape of Bone for 3 rounds, and Admonition deal 25% reality damage for each stack of Shape of Bones on the target. Admonition, if I'm not mistaken, is his ultimate after that. So not the ultimate, but the follow-up. It's not even a follow-up attack. I think that's the first thing they should fix. It should be a follow-up attack, right? But it's not here. So that is the first thing that they should fix. And then deal 25% reality damage for each stack of Shape of Bone. So 3 stacks, 75%, with the additional one that it does, I think 120, so now it does 200, which is like a single target incantation but on all enemy. So overall, if that's 3 enemies, he will be doing like 500 or 600% damage to all the enemies every round. So this is actually a very good upgrade, making him more viable, because the problem with him now is that I felt that he's always wasting turn and doing very minimal damage. He's wasting turn to get up, to get his ultimate, and if the ultimate is the one that you want because of the buff it provides that doesn't override with other buffs. So, but it's a pain to get to there. But now if Shape of Bone can stack up and he can do more damage, so I felt that it won't be a waste casting the low damaging Shape of Bones. Yeah, so overall that makes him a much viable character, so to the point that I might even consider getting him. Okay, so now that's all with the 6-star upgrade. I believe in the future patch they will upgrade even more 6-star. Maybe every time there's a new raid they will add in more units so we can test it out, especially to feed the current raid. Then after the raid, hopefully they will readjust a bit of the upgrades or nerf or basically buff it further, then release it to the other contents. Okay, for Charlie, Insight 3, damage dealt bonus 50%. Okay, that's good. In additional 30% crit rate. Wow, okay, not bad. When attacking, minus 10% HP, totally fine. And also deal Genesis damage based on lost HP to all enemy attacks. So, but it never mentioned how many percent. So this is similar to Eternity, but it's not mentioned here how many percent. But he means that every time she attacks, she loses HP. So means she also can feed into Semilwa's party. Pretty interesting. And she heals back every round. So her Genesis probably is just a supplementary. I don't see that it will deal a lot. But okay, I guess a decent upgrade for a 5-star. That's fair for a 5-star. Balloon Party. When Balloon Party gain a balloon, all teammates gain a balloon of the same type. Okay. Deal damage increase to 200%. Okay, more damage. And if she use rank 2 or 3, grant Balloon Party a layer of Balloon Innocence. I think Balloon of Innocence is the one that reduces damage. Yeah, so it's just enhancing her capability. Which is fine. For 5-star, I think they don't have to change the kit, but just enhance it a little. Yeah, so that's perfectly fine for me. After attacking for Beacon Bloom, after attacking allies inflict 1 layer of focus weaken, and means additional of minus 20% reality defense. Fine. If Beacon attacks target with 20 stacks, she gains +1 Moxie. Wow. Okay. So gets her up to her ultimate faster, so she can inflict more seal and her ultimate does good damage. Okay, a decent upgrade. That is good. Desert Flannel. Insight tree upon entering combat now grants all allies +1 Moxie for every beast. So if you use 4 beasts, that's everyone has 4 Moxie. Right? So pretty good, pretty good. So her herself is a beast. So definitely at the start she already grant everyone 1 Moxie, which is really good. Then allies other than Desert Flannel cast their ultimate Desert Flannel and the character in position 1 gain additional Moxie. Okay. When allies other than Desert Flannel cast. Okay, so let's say you have Spatodia in the front and Spatodia use ulti, she get back Moxie. And then other character like Vila uses ultimate, Spatodia get another Moxie. So which means the character on position 1 will be able to do even more damage, get their RT out faster. So I think this is really pretty busted for Desert Flannel, to the point that I don't even have her, now I need to get her. Alright, but overall this is a really good upgrade for this character. I think 5-star should be that way, like they don't really have to focus on a DPS 5-star, maybe 1 or 2, yeah, okay, fine, Charlie. But make them more utility based, right? Because usually if they do not deal as much damage as our 6-star, at least they can provide all the utility and make them even stronger. So that is really a good upgrade for Desert Flannel. Okay, the last one, right? Eagle, 4-star. Okay, between superficiality and reality, this attack also enjoy leech rate. Okay, fine. And a penetration rate. And when other ally cast their ultimate, Eagle casts between superficiality and reality on their primary target. Okay, so if the ally uses ulti, okay, the primary target, I believe, because Eagle, when she enters the battle, she inflicts a debuff on the enemy. So I believe that is the primary target. So every time someone uses ultimate, she will use her ultimate as well. And she have leech rate and penetration rate 50%. This is really a huge upgrade for Eagle, a 4-star, to the point that she is viable for a setup in a 6-star. Okay, the problem with 4-star is that if you don't push their resonance up to R10, they usually get killed instantly by the enemy. That's because they can't even go inside tree, which means they will be stuck at level 50. You cannot go to inside tree, and the additional level up during inside tree, they wouldn't get the additional stats. So overall, they have lower attack stats, they have lower defense stats, they have lower HP and everything else, making them die very fast and doing insufficient damage on the enemy. But now with this 50% penetration rate, and she's able to use her ulti so often that basically just balance everything out. Not just balance, making her like totally viable in a 6-star team, but we still need to protect her a little bit more. So you does need to have like a defensive, sustained character in order to keep her healthy, but her damage now would be viable in a 6-star team. Okay, so overall I think this is really a good upgrade for most character, but certainly some seems to be over adjusted, especially the first two, and Regulus, all this seems fine. Eternity and Sotheby and this below, they seems to be a little bit lackluster. This is fine, right? So I hope they do a little bit more adjustment and balance thing out before they make this available to it for all stages, all right, and make it permanent. But I really do like this character rework and what they are doing so far with the game. Just that please make content a little bit more difficult. I think content is just too easy right now. Yeah. Alright, so thank you very much for watching this video and have a good day, everyone.